fellas?
What's up?
Hey,
What's up?
Somebody has a big week this week after what happened on Sunday. After what happened on Sunday.
Man, times like this don't come around very often.
Oh my God, the city of Cincinnati has to be losing it right now.
Hey, you know what? I'm looking up at this. I've been looking up at the sky. Is the solar eclipse going to happen, man? Is the end of the world going to happen? This city is, dude, yo.
Hey, make things right with your maker. Whoever that is, make them right. It's about to be over.
It's about to be over. It's about to, because, man, hey, Dwayne, let me tell you something, man. From both, Andre, he lives outside the city. But me, I live in Cincinnati. Probably my wife's born and raised here. When I tell you what's going on, what's happened from the last college football playoff ranking to this past Sunday, let me tell you something, bro. If you're in the city right now,
unbelievable.
You see people going around talking so much shit. It's unbelievable. It's crazy.
Unreal.
So, hey, I'm not going to give any justice. My man Andre, he's been the closest to it. But let me tell you, man, before I turn it over to Dre, this is a very unusual feeling in the city right now. The Bengals, we'll talk about the Bengals momentarily, but the Bengals on the cusp of going from worst to first in the AFC North, which is to me the toughest division in the NFL this year. I'm no disrespect to the NFC West, but the AFC North is it this year, and in the AFC West too. And between that and the Bearcats breaking the proverbial glass ceiling of the group of five, even though they're on their way to being a Power 5 school in maybe a couple of years. We'll talk about that as well. But this city, yo, it's crazy,
grabs, bro.
It's crazy, man. So Dre, yo, from a Cincinnati fan's perspective, you're gonna talk your shit. I will allow you to talk your shit. You earn the right to talk your shit. So the floor is yours.
I'm almost at a loss for words. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like, I'm born and raised in Cincinnati, have always represented my teams, whether I was at Morehouse, OU, going through my jobs, my work life, everything that I've ever done. I have always represented UC and the Bengals. And to know like how close we've come at certain points in times, like Kenyon Martin in basketball.
Yes,
you looked at Carson Palmer the first time, in 05 versus the Steelers. You look at Andy Dalton's 2015 season, and then AJ almost winning the game again against the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2015. You look at the undefeated season last year that the Bearcats had and almost pulling off the win versus Georgia. And previous to that, even of going to Sugar Bowl, going to the Orange Bowl, those things pale in comparison to what's about to happen this weekend here and the potential of what could happen this weekend. Do I really, in my heart of hearts, believe that Cincinnati is going to beat Alabama? No, I don't. But the fact that we are on the same stage and the fact that we have a chance and have been given that opportunity is beyond anything I could have imagined at the beginning of the season. Like, go back and watch the podcast that I've been on with you guys before. I was like, I don't think that they'll be giving the opportunity. It'll be less about whether they are deserving of the opportunity and more so about will they be given the opportunity. And much to my surprise, and much to my happiness, they were actually, not only did they earn that opportunity, but they were given that opportunity.
They earned
it. It's absolutely fantastic that on Friday at 3:30, I'll be somewhere with a large adult beverage, just losing my mind, right? And that feeling of, wow, this is what it must be like to be in a big time city like a Chicago or like a New England, Boston, where like this stuff happens all the time, right? Like this is this happens all the time. But for me, like, this is amazing. And like, we haven't even talked about it, and we'll get to the Bengals in a minute of what they can accomplish on Sunday. But from a college football perspective, this is the pinnacle. And to think that UC has the opportunity to participate in this is, again, just unbelievable to me.
Well, And before I turn it over to you, D Nash, I was hoping to have you on. I know you had a conflict. Life, exactly. But right after the last CFP football rankings, we kind of figured y'all wouldn't get the shot, particularly after Baylor did y'all a huge solid. So you're a Baylor fan now. So anyway,
I mean that Oklahoma State running back did them a straight solid.
That's
if
true.
He just go ahead and just cuts in,
just a little bit.
Uses physics. Yo, my physics teacher, Dr. Barwick, is going insane watching that game. Yo, to give you an idea of Dr. Barwick's makeup, Bill Nye the Science Guy. Just take Bill Nye, make him shorter.
Okay.
My old physics professor, teacher, Dr. Barwick in high school. He's going insane. Yo, take the momentum, hit the corner, fall into the end zone. You got the touchdown.
Yep.
Right.
But no, he wanted to be faster, and that's what it gets you.
There you go. So anyway, we could debate whether it will make a difference or not as far as Oklahoma State winning. I don't think they would have jumped UC based on the performance against Baylor. I don't think they would want that, but that's another discussion for another time. But we're giving UC a flowers right now. So yeah. So basically, I thinking about the journey, right? And Paul Doherty, a famous, Dwayne, if you don't know, the famous sports writer here for the Cincinnati Enquirer, he had a column that laid out the journey from where they were at in the 80s. He just went back to the 80s to what is right now, how remarkable, the word remarkable does not do half the justice as what UC is right now. I mean, we already knew what D'Antonio did before he went to Michigan State. He took him there, but Brian Kelly took him to the stratosphere.
A whole other level, right?
Right, he took him to the stratosphere.
But it always felt like he was looking for that next opportunity.
Right.
And I'm not saying that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it never felt like, hey, this is something that's sustainable with this particular coach.
Right. And he
moved to Bush Jones.
Right.
And Bush Jones was a decent enough dude.
Right.
But even that felt like he was always looking for the next opportunity to move on. And which means you can get some good players in, but you're changing systems, you're changing coordinators.
Right.
This talent doesn't quite fit exactly what I want to do. It might take a year and okay, let me fix some things and this, that, and the other, right? And so while you had really good success, you never had elite level success because you just didn't have a coach who was willing to take the time to stay and really build that thing.
Right. So when you say all that, man, there's Fickell, of course, Luke Fickell. He didn't jump at the overtures at Notre Dame, apparently. And I guess I read somewhere that he said that he would think about it, but he asked them to wait.
Yep.
He asked Notre Dame to wait because he wasn't going to bail on UC.
Correct. Basically what he said was, because they came at him at Houston before the Houston game and said, hey, we want to talk to you. And he was like, cool, I'm down to talk, but I'm gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to wait until after this Houston game. And Notre Dame wasn't willing to wait until after the Houston game. So then they moved on to their next candidate, which is a fantastic candidate who I very much so wanted at UC if Luke Fickell left.
Right.
So
Marcus Freeman. Yep.
Yeah, I got no beef. I got no problem with that. And congrats and kudos to him. But the fact that Luke was willing to tell Notre Dame, hey, hold on 1 second, dude, I got some stuff I need to do first, really speaks
his volumes
commitment to the Bearcats.
Right. And you know, and I could talk, we could discuss another time about the idea of Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame when Notre Dame had a small chance of possibly getting into the playoff if he had enough chaos. But
history shows that that's exactly what that dude would do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, go back to the big bowl games that he had with us, you know, when he was here at UC. He absolutely bailed on teams that could have won big time bowl games. I mean, we're talking, you know, Orange Bowl, Sugar Bowl level games back in the era of the BCS. Those were the biggest of the biggest bowl games that you could have. He was like, I'm out.
Yep. still go. They're supposed to. They because they played Florida.
Yes.
In the Sugar Bowl. I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, and got blasted.
And he just bailed.
Yeah. So that I remember that to this very day. But I just find it remarkable, man, about the journey. I find it remarkable that even though you guys, and we'll talk about this part later about y'all going to the Big 12, the timeline. But when you guys are on the verge of going to the Big 12 eventually, it's maybe 2 years at the very most at this point. To break that ceiling before y'all make that inevitable jump to the Power 5, it's still cool as hell to see. Now, no one's expecting them to shock the world and beat Alabama. They have a shot, but
they got a puncher's chance.
Yeah, they got punches, but I mean, look who Alabama's kicked the shit out of over the years. They did it to Ohio State. They did it to Notre Dame twice.
Oklahoma State,
Michigan State, Washington.
Yes.
Clemson won semifinal. Did not go on. They're coached by the
there is no shame in getting punched in the mouth by Alabama.
No,
none.
At least not from anybody coming at me and being like, "Ha ha, your boy's this, your boy's that."
Yeah.
Look here, Alabama does that to a lot of
everybody. Yeah,
they do that to a lot of people.
They did it to Georgia a few weeks ago. They did it to Georgia. I mean, come on now.
Punch them in the mouth.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll
fine.
say this though, fellas. After what I saw just a couple of weeks in Atlanta, nothing shocks me no more. I wouldn't be surprised if they shock the world and move on, because I'm still concerned about what Alabama are we going to get. Are we going to get the Alabama that beat down on Georgia, or are we going to get the Alabama whose point differential in their last 3 regular season games was 5 points? Which one are we going to get? And I don't know which one to trust.
I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Let me tell you right now. I'm gonna let you finish, D, but I'm gonna jump in right quick.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm
gonna tell you right now. If for some reason UC pulls off this win, get off of my Twitter, get off of my Facebook, unfriend me from every piece of social media ever, because I am going to act a complete ass. Okay, I will be unbearable. So that's just the public service announcement.
Oh, man.
I will be unbearable. So
hey,
so funny.
All I know is Coach Saban and his boys better not come into this game cocky like his good old buddy down in Jackson, Mississippi, who came into the Celebration Bowl cocky with him and his boys and overlooked that team that everyone in the world thought was everyone outside of Orangeburg, South Carolina thought was going to lose to Jackson State. Hey, if that happens and South Carolina State got punched in the mouth early and everybody said, uh-oh, the Bulldogs ain't ready. And later on, they proved it. I'm just saying, I seen the blueprint of how it can happen.
Unbearable.
And I wouldn't hold it against you to do so. Because, hey, a lot of people
go anywhere in the city. I wouldn't be able to go anywhere in the city if that would have happened. I wouldn't go anywhere. I mean, it's bad enough that I can't go out with my Steelers gear on right now. It's even worse. If I mean, are you crazy? Are you kidding me?
Bro.
Are you kidding me?
I can't. I'm telling you, I'm the most annoying person you've ever met in your life.
But let me ask you this before we segue to your beloved Bengals.
Yeah.
In order for UC to have a shot, what do they have to do? I mean, what do they have to do to at least hang over Alabama and give them a chance to shock the world, if you will?
So first things first, I think they have to weather that initial emotional storm, right? Alabama's bigger, stronger, faster in general. So from top to bottom, does UC have some talent that can match up with Alabama? Yes, they do. But if I'm taking, players from each team, I'm picking more players from Alabama than I am from Cincinnati, right?
Of course.
So you have to weather that emotional storm. You can't let Alabama get up, 14, 17, be driving for, 21, and you haven't guy in your offense started yet. That can't.
Right.
So there has to be you have to give yourself a chance in the beginning, from the beginning.
Right.
Now, we make it past those first, let's call it the first 4 possessions of each team. And it's 3-0, 6-3, 10-7, somewhere in that general vicinity of things. And now everything kind of calms down and you get back to, okay, this is who we are and this is how we play and let's go.
Mm-hmm.
I think UC has a legitimate chance. You got to limit the turnovers, and you can say that in every football game that there is, right?
Yeah, right.
But especially on the Cincinnati side of things, you cannot give that Alabama team more offensive possessions. You just can't do it.
Right.
And so you have to take care of the football. You have to weather that first 10 minutes, of the first quarter and be in it. And then ultimately, man, you just have to play your game. Play like UC can play. Let Des Ridder open it up. I think they tried to keep him healthy most of the season.
Yeah.
So they didn't run him as much as they normally would. But this is it, man. This is it. You got to go. Pull out all the stops and let's go. And I'm not saying trickery from flea flickers and reverses, and no, they run that run pass option real well, and they run it best when Des Ridder is unafraid to use his legs and is out there making and forcing the issue, right? They didn't do a ton of that this year. They did last year though, and if they can get back to doing that, and again, I think some of it was preserve Des, because if you don't have Des, this season doesn't happen. Right. So we had to get him to this point in order to get this team to this point. Right. But we're here now, and it's time to go.
Right. Amen. And also, I think as great as y'all secondary is with Sauce Gardner, Kobe Bryant, what a name, by the way. I think it boils down to the trenches, because as great as your secondary is, with no pass rush, it's a wrap, especially against those track team that Alabama puts it there in the wide receiver core. You got to get pressure. Now, the question
this is where Monte Sanders earns his money. This is where Monte Sanders can turn himself from a second or third round pick into a first round pick. If he can be impactful in this game versus an Alabama offensive line that is full of studs, and he can grab himself a sack and a half, 2 sacks, be disruptive throughout the game, he can earn himself some real money. And if I were his agent, or if I were his handlers, this is the game I'd be like, bruh, you have got to go off. Anything that you've been carrying in the tank for the last whatever, you have got to go off, because you can make yourself a ton of money in one game. Come on.
So can Sauce Gardner, even though he and Kobe Bryant are expected to go earlier in the draft, especially Sauce Gardner. I think they're 2 big corners, and I think someone's in their heads telling them the same thing too. It's go time, man. You've been working for this moment for the past 3-4 years.
Yep.
Y'all been building this. Desmond Ridder too. It's go time. It's go time. From coming back this season, he's gone from a late round pick, if drafted at all, to a possible first round pick. By coming back this year,
he is definitely in the conversation of first 2 days. Yes. Everybody gets desperate with quarterbacks in first round and whatever. Fine, is he a first round talent? I'm not 100% sure of that piece. He's still a little bit too inconsistent for me. Yeah. But
no worse than a second round.
Second round dude, a third round dude.
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely, without question. Especially you got an older quarterback who is on their way out, Pittsburgh. You got a dude that you're not quite sure about, like a Washington football team with Heineke. I'm just not quite sure. Like, he's there, but maybe not. Okay, let's throw some decent competition in on him. Des Ridder. Okay, cool. Let's go see what we can do.
Well, Dre, I'll tell you right now, the entire city is not sold on Taylor Heineke right now. They're ready to oust this dude as much as possible. They already are believing he is a quality backup at best. and that they need someone here in order to challenge this dude. I can already tell you that right now.
So I mean, again, you look at places like that, right? Who
and there's several places like that. You got Houston, Washington.
Yes.
Who else? God.
Denver.
Denver's like that. Another situation.
Carolina.
I mean, like you just got a bunch of dudes who are
New Orleans is like that. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the Giants, how sold are they on Jones? Like, I mean, there's just a lot of situations that he could find himself in where he could push the starter, but not necessarily have to come in and be the starter day one.
Right. Right.
But Trey, like, I have a big question for you real quick. Sorry to interrupt, Scott. But
No worries.
All right. So say we go ahead and we look at the stat sheet the next day. 4 categories that you're looking at. Rank them from worst to best in terms of, okay, if Cincinnati loses this battle, they can still win the game. Hopefully you're understanding this question. So you look at it, and Cincinnati has lost the turnover battle, turnover on points battle, big plays given up, and time of possession. Which one can Cincinnati give up the most and still have an opportunity to win? And which one can they least give up because they'll lose because of that?
So they'll lose because of turnovers. That's one of my keys to the game, period. If they you give Alabama too many possessions offensively, you're just going to be in trouble. I think they can give up explosive plays and still be in the game, because I think Alabama has the athletes to push them from an explosive play standpoint. That quarterback is nice. They got some nice wide receivers. You can give up some explosive plays, but if you tighten up in the red zone and you give them 3 instead of 7, you know, or the opportunity for 3 instead of 7, you miss a kick here, you do that, this, that, and the other. I mean, stuff happens when you don't score touchdowns, right? And so you can give up yardage. You can give up a ton of yardage, but tighten between the 20s and come out victorious. You can't give multiple turnovers to Alabama and expect to win.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. And totally agree. Because I've seen what Alabama does. Has been doing those turnovers. Ask Georgia. Ask Georgia what they could do with it. So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. I'm just glad that we found that. Look, Dwayne and I, we talked in the past, and I'll say this very quickly before we move to the Bengals, about the possibilities, like the what ifs, right? I know they say if what's the fifth, we'll all be drunk, right? But what if Wake and Pitt did not have those dumbass losses early in the year? What if Pitt did not lose to Western Michigan at home?
Yeah.
What if Wake didn't choke against Carolina? You know, they come in as 2-1 loss teams into the ACC title game. Because if you look at how the top 10 finished, you had a bunch of 2-loss teams in the top 10, which tells me, and they were trying to help Wake early. I don't care what anybody says with this. Bringing in Clemson at 19, NC State, then later Pitt. But I'm just saying this. We were 2 inexplicable losses earlier from the possibility of an ACC team usurping your Bearcats. And I laid out the reasons why. Yeah.
Absolutely would work. And I mean, I think we talked about that on one of the last pods that I was on, of like, it's not about who they rank in the top 10. It's about who they rank 15 to 25.
Right.
That's what it's about, because it gives those other schools the opportunity to play harder competition because they played higher ranked teams than what Cincinnati had the ability to do. The problem came when the teams in the top 10 just weren't that good.
Right.
And neither were the teams that they put 15 to 25.
Right.
So they were beating each other and nobody was any good.
Yeah. Right. So there you go. But again, props to UC. Y'all did a damn thing this year. You earned it. So, you know, whatever happens after this is gravy. You know what I'm saying? Because again, who has to Alabama beat the shit out of?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So Correct. It is what it is. So, I mean, So you guys earned it. And I think I'll lie to you. One more thing. As far as that goes, I know UC is about to be a Big 12 squad, right? In 2 years. I give it 2 years tops. What's stopping them from making the move next season? Yeah, they don't have to, you don't think I mean, because they can, the way the Big 12, I just want to see them have a chance to play Oklahoma and Texas. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Me too.
I'm just looking at the TV
it's the buyout,
contracts.
man. It's the buy. So here's the issue. Here's the issue with UC as a program.
Okay.
From a monetary standpoint.
Okay.
We have some big donors.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have whales, right? We have big donors.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have whales. We don't have people who can, write a check for a new stadium, write a check for a new basketball arena, write a check for a new weightlifting facility, write a check for, okay, dude, you've asked me for 4 checks. That's all I can write. Like if I've got 20 million and you want me to donate 5 million, that's a lot of money.
True.
Right? That's a quarter of what I have to give to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I have 200 million and you ask me for 5 million, we might be able to talk a little bit.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
it just makes it. So when you look at like, Ohio State, when you look at USC, when you look at UCLA, when you look at Florida, when you look at those big programs, they have people with deep pockets. We have a few people with some mediumly deep pockets who can help and who will absolutely contribute money, but it's not the same. And so therefore, when we come and say, hey, the buyout is, and I can't remember what it is, but it's
10 mil.
Yeah, it's 10 million to get out of this. Yeah. Okay, do you want my 10 million to go to getting you out of this secondhand conference, or do you want my 10 million to go towards building a facility for the football team when you're already going to the new conference in 2 years anyway?
Right. I got you.
So
makes sense.
That's more so what the issue is. We just don't have enough big money people to continuously go back to ask for money.
I got you. That makes sense. Like I said, I would love to see Oklahoma or Texas come to Nippert.
Yeah.
That's what that's about. Because they're on their way out to the SEC.
Yep.
That's all. I mean, not to say that playing Oklahoma State and Baylor, TCU, and Texas Tech and West Virginia especially wouldn't be a bad would be a bad thing. That'd be great, especially West Virginia. But I'm just wishing upon a star. Just have Oklahoma, Texas.
No, and I'm not saying it's not out of the question. I just know that funds are being allocated in a different way right now, and the Big 12 is already an inevitability anyway. And as nice as it would be to have Texas or Oklahoma come to UC, I'd rather have better facilities to help recruits come and continue to build what we're doing.
To play them for one season.
Yeah.
Good point. So let's segue from one great thing to another potentially great, already a good thing. Your Bengals. Man, from the beginning of the season, from the beginning of the season, when we had this conversation, you were hopeful. I remember you being hopeful because you got your franchise quarterback. Yeah. You got your studs on the perimeter. You built up your defense. It was all about that godforsaken offensive line. Yep. That's what it was about. And I said it myself. If your O-line doesn't have to be spectacular, just decent. If it's just decent, y'all will have a huge shot because you guys got the studs, the young studs, right? So fast forward to week 17. Yeah. And damn, I mean, you guys are in first place, going from worst to first. And if you guys beat, I'll have the I'm laughing, but if I'll have the player possibilities in front of me, I believe if you guys beat Kansas City at home, you guys clinched the North. I think.
So we got to win one
Okay.
of the final two.
Right.
So we got Kansas City at home and Cleveland on the road. The other scenario we can win is if, and this is going to hurt me to even say, it, to root for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sorry, something in my throat. If the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Cleveland Browns, Baltimore loses, and then Pittsburgh beats, and then Baltimore beats Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
In the final week, then we'll clinch two.
So
or
you have to pull for two
one of these two
rivals.
Yeah.
And back-to-back weeks. First, you have to pull for the hated Steelers, then for a team you despise in Baltimore the following week. That has to move a bad taste.
Like, and then you would just kind of like back into it, and this, I don't want to do that. But
right. Of course.
Yeah, win one of the last two, and you are AFC North champs. Period.
Correct. So I think I may say this somewhere. I think this may be the first time that you guys have, because you guys had that one good year earlier, like a few years ago, where you went 5-1 to the division, I think, and sweeping Pittsburgh along the way. I think it's 2009. I forgot what it was, but
yeah, it's been a while.
But basically, I think it's the same year where you guys swept both the big brothers in the division, the Bulls in the division, the same year, Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, we went undefeated. We went 6-0 in the division that year.
Yeah, there you go. So this is the second time y'all done this. So this is the second time y'all swept the two Bulls in the division, and not only swept them, beat their asses twice.
Correct.
Each.
A minimum of 14 points over both times.
Yes. So that just leads me to thinking, man, we're on the precipice for two reasons. I will explain in a moment, of going back to the 80s, going back to the future, because not many people remember the 80s where you guys were spectacular in the 80s. You guys were great. You guys were damn good in the 70s. You just had that team, that black and gold team, blocking your path most of the time. And they did it to Houston too. So anyway, but you guys are good in the 70s, but y'all were just fucking awesome in the 80s. You just see that another red and gold team out west ruin your dreams twice. You guys should have beaten them the second time, but that's not.
We should have beat them the first time.
Yeah, but anyway, the point being is that you guys, just like in the 80s, you had two stud quarterbacks. You had Kenny Anderson, and then Boomer Esiason.
Yes, sir.
Right. This time around, you have Joe Burrow.
And he might be better than them both.
Exactly, which is scary.
That dude, I'm telling y'all, there is something different about that cat. Like, he does things that are just amazing. And he's not, like, he doesn't have the biggest arm. You know, he's not the cat from LA. You know, he's not Herbert, right? He's not Mahomes. He's not fast like Lamar Jackson. But you take a little piece of each one of those dudes, add in the pocket savviness of a Tom Brady. Don't get me wrong, I am not comparing Joe Burrow.
There are people who are losing their shit right now. Oh my God.
All the comments start flooding in and say Andre said he's Tom Brady. I did not say that.
Tom Brady.
Very clear. I did not say
Skip Bills will have a heart attack.
I'm on Twitter right now. I'm putting it right now on Twitter. Dre just said.
Dwayne is posted on the. Look here. Dre said. What I'm saying is, had some of that same pocket awareness and pocket savvy that a Tom Brady has, right? Where it's the subtle movement to the left, the step up, the subtle movement to the right that buys just that much more time for a T. Higgins or a Jamar Chase or a Tyler Boyd to get open. And that is something you just can't teach a kid, man.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, I'm sorry about that, but
no,
you got Tyler Boyd is your slot receiver. That's not fair.
792, 98, something like that yards on the season already.
Yeah. He's your slot receiver, y'all. That's just not even fair. And I just love, look, again, this is going back to the future. You guys got studs. young studs. You got Joe, and I didn't even mention Joe Mixon, toting the rock. Another 1,000-yard season, if I'm not mistaken. So, look, I already mentioned one reason is going back to the future. Another reason is Pittsburgh's starting to suck again. We're about to lose. I think Large Bench is about to call it a career after this year. We don't have a quarterback in the pipeline. We're about to suck again like we did in the 80s. And you guys are about to take off again like you did in the 80s. You guys are about to beat asses again like you did in the 80s. Have already beaten asses again like you did in the 80s. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. All that we need to cap the nightmarish 80s off would be the Cleveland Browns being really good again, like they were in the 80s. Yeah. But I think that would be the Ravens' place. That would be the Ravens' place to be the new Cleveland Browns instead of the current Cleveland Browns. But anyway, I just think you guys have done a great job. I love Burrow. We're talking about Burrow now. I love his leadership more than anything, and his swagger. Yeah. He's very understated. And what sold me on this young man was after George Floyd's murder that summer. Yeah, he led the squad from the walk from Paul Brown Stadium to the Underground Railroad Freedom Center. It was very outspoken about it.
Players asked him to make the speech.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Like that already said so much about him, about how they view him.
A white guy doing this,
right?
Yeah.
A young
rookie,
unproven, right? Like you've done nothing in this league, nothing at all. But the respect that he commanded within that locker room from day one is unreal. The fact that there were free agents who made decisions based upon the fact that he was going to be drafted and or be the quarterback in year 2, that people were like, I want to go play with that dude. When's the last time that's happened? Like nobody was coming here to play with Andy Dalton. No. I mean, Andy Dalton's a nice guy. And if he was at a bar and we sat down next to him, we would have a great conversation. We'd exchange phone numbers. We'd, show up for Thanksgiving dinner one year because he was doing a Friendsgiving. Like, it would be great. But, like, nobody's coming to earn their money with that dude.
Right.
Because I want to win. And I want somebody who projects winning to me, right? Especially when it comes to money. Like, I can go make money anywhere. You telling me I can go play with Tom Brady or I can go play with Andy Dalton. You telling me I can go play with Dak Prescott or I can play with Andy Dalton.
Right.
That's not crapping on Andy Dalton. That's saying I want to win and make money.
That's being real.
Just making money.
It's being real. It is what it is. It's being real. It's being pragmatic. That's what that shit is.
And now Joe Burrow gives that opportunity for cats to look at. DJ Reader said it himself of like, hey, my agent came to me and was like, do you want to go play with the quarterback out in Denver? I can't remember his name, or Joe Burrow. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's done. We're going to play with Joe Burrow. Right? Chidobe Awuzie had several teams come after him. Mike Hilton left the Pittsburgh Steelers, left to come to play with the Bengals and Joe Burrow. He's on the defensive side of the ball. He wants to play with Joe Burrow. So he provides something that we just haven't had in a really, really, really long time at that quarterback position. Even going back to Carson. Like Carson, a leader, very, very athletic, great arm, big arm,
great arm,
good quarterback, solid, like all of the things that you want in a quarterback. But was he that dude cats were willing to run through a wall for? Like he never came across as that guy, right? Same thing with Andy Dalton. Super nice guy. Cool. If I'm already playing here and they want to pay me money to keep staying here, sure, I'll stay. But Joe Burrow, I want to play with that dude. He makes me want to play for him and with him. And that's a gigantic difference that they just didn't have before.
Yeah. It's just amazing. It's so amazing to see that. And again, man, like I said, you guys are this close to going to completing the worst to first in the NFC North.
6-25-1 in his first 2 years as a head coach is Zach Taylor.
Zach Taylor, yep.
6-25-1. Like, he should have been fired.
Right.
Right? I mean, I appreciate the patience of the Browns family.
Mm-hmm.
and it is absolutely paying off this year.
Mm-hmm.
But that cat should have been fired.
Yeah.
Nobody should be allowed to go 6-25-1 and still keep it.
Right.
No, it just shouldn't happen. But fortunately, in this particular case, it seems to be working out. He seems to be creating a culture that people, are excited about and want to play in. And whether it's because of him and or despite him and because of Joe Burrow, they are moving in the right direction. They are winning games. They are asserting themselves. One more quick point on Burrow, and you talked about his swagger.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Dude sat in his post-game press conference after just shellacking the Baltimore Ravens, throwing for a franchise record 525
yards.
The first time in his career he's thrown for 4 touchdowns. He almost had 3 100-plus yard receiving wide receivers. Had Tyler Boyd not a 32-yard touchdown that Burrow put in his hands. But all of that being said, dude showed up to his press conference in a Santa hat and a Krusty Krab
t-shirt.
Okay, you know what I mean? Like a Krusty Krab t-shirt. I'm like,
yo, he was wilding.
Just chill, man. Right here. And when they asked him, so earlier in the week, they talked to Don Wink Martindale.
Yeah. I heard the score. Yeah.
Right. And he said, hey, are you gonna double team Jamar Chase and do some things against him and like you do for Aaron Rodgers and what's my man Devontae
Adams,
yeah.
Like, hey, y'all gonna do that? Because I mean, Chase lit y'all up for 201 yards last time y'all played, right? So are y'all gonna do that this time? And he was like, I'm pretty sure Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver in the league, basically. And Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer, and I don't think we're putting Joe Burrow in a Hall of Fame jacket anytime.
I remember that quote.
So nah, we ain't doing that. Okay, cool. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna throw for 25 yards. I'm gonna throw for 4 touchdowns. And when I'm asked, do I remember what Don Wink Martindale said? I'm gonna be like, maybe. Sheesh.
You guys better protect.
Were you thinking about the comments that he made when you threw for that 52-yard pass for no damn reason at all at the end of the
game? None. No, there was a reason. It's called the AFC North. That was the reason. That was the reason. I don't care what nobody else says. That was the reason.
Bingo. We're the most petty division in football. We all hate each other.
Like, dude, and I'm here for every last bit. Petty. Because look,
so petty.
I can tell you this, there was not a single person last year, week 17, when Baltimore ran for a franchise record 404 yards versus the Bengals with a bunch of backup dudes because they were all broke. They were all, they didn't have a defense. But all the columns that I read afterwards were Baltimore did what it was supposed to do. They beat down the team that they should have beat. They clinched the North. They clinched this. They did that. They did all of the things that they were supposed to do. Nobody felt bad for the Bengals. Nobody said, oh, Baltimore shouldn't have kept running the ball. No. And nor should the Bengals feel bad about doing what they did to Baltimore.
No. It's professional sports.
They stopped scoring with 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So it's not like they were running up the score. They played keep away in the best way that they could, which when you're going up against the number 1 run defense in the league, why would you try and run the ball?
Right.
Yeah.
You're going up against the number 28 pass defense in the league, and 2 of their corners recently got broke, one of which during the game. Why not just pass 6 yards, 7 yards, first down, 8 yards, 9 yards, first down? Like, there's no difference in that than, hey, if they're a crappy run team and we're just going to run the ball down their throats, nobody would say boo. But because we threw it, it's this big, get out of here with that noise.
Yeah. It's professional sports, ladies and gentlemen. It is what it is. This is big boy football.
It is.
It's so 100%. Just stop it. So, again, you guys, the Birds is doing something really special, and it hurts me to say as a Steeler fan, because again, I saw this 40 years ago in the 80s. and it's about to happen again. So yeah, props to y'all. It is what it is.